Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the GEM Global DBA info session. So thank you for joining us today. We're really pleased to have you with us, and we hope this session will give you a clear sense of what a global DBA is, who it's for, and how it can support your professional and academic journey. So a quick overview of the session today. We'll introduce ourselves, we'll give a little overview of our global DBA program. And then we will dive a bit into the topic of how industry and DBA research can reinforce each other. And we're excited to have our alumni spotlight. We'll discuss the next steps for you. And then our favorite part of the session is the Q&A. We ask that there's quite a few of you on this call today, so we ask that you type your questions into the chat and we will get to them during this Q&A session. So before we begin, I'd like to ask our panel of speakers to introduce themselves. So I'm Jenny Hinderscheid. I am the head of marketing for the MBA and the DBA programs at GEM.
Hello, everyone. My name is Charis Lee. I am the academic director, actually one of three, of the DBA program.
Marie-Pierre?
Hello, my name is Marie-Pierre Cross. I'm in charge of recruitment, and I will be your main contact for any questions you may have regarding recruitment and admission.
Thank you. And Anita, very excited to have our star alumni with us today.
Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. Anita Mukherjee. I'm a recent DBA graduate from GEM, and pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. So before we go any further, let's take a brief look at why someone would choose a DBA in the first place, right? So the DBA is an executive doctorate designed for managers, senior professionals, and consultants and educators who want to create meaningful impact through research. So what makes it distinctive is that it allows you to sort of turn the challenges you face in your day-to-day work into rigorous evidence-based research while continuing your career. Charis will expand on this balance between theory and practice and what it looks like from an academic point of view in just a moment. So at GEM, so why GEM, I guess, for your DBA, is that we've built the DBA for experienced professionals who need both the sort of flexibility and strong academic support. So the format is part-time, and we're very unique in that we offer supervision from day one. And the program is really designed around a truly global business context. So we are triple accredited business school. Our program has been running for over 30 years. So we have a lot of experience. We have over 800 students and alumni in our DBA community. And I think we'll get into this a little bit more during the Q&A about what really makes our program different and the level of support that we offer to our students. And with that, I'll hand it to Professor Charis Lee.
All right, thank you, Jenny. So now let me tell you the structure of this DBA. We're a part-time program, like Jenny said, that stretches over 3 years, and you can possibly extend it up to 5 years to finish your dissertation. And it's divided into 2 phases. In the first phase, you will focus on building the doctoral level research capacities through seminars and webinars designed to help build your research toolkit to study the topic that you are interested in. And once you propose your dissertation and successfully defend your dissertation proposal, you would then go towards phase 2, where you will then spend most of the time working on your original research, which then produces your dissertation, and then you defend your dissertation and get your DBA at the end. And finally, the production will be a 45,000 to 50,000 word document that will contribute theoretically to the academic area that you build your study in, but also contribute managerially to the industry that you base your research onto. And why do we say we're a global DBA? Because we actually recruit all over the world. Once you are here, you will see your peers are from everywhere in the world. And to facilitate better connection and easier access to our faculty and knowledge base, we have 5 different global hubs we have built over time. Of course, we're based in France, in Grenoble and in Paris. And in Europe, we have partners, particularly in Poland, in Warsaw, in collaboration with Kosminski University. And in North America, we have been teaching and organizing alumni events in Los Angeles, and we're expanding also to Canada. And in Asia, we have 2 concurrent DBA programs also in China, and we're also expanding to the Gulf countries, especially in Dubai. Now, I just mentioned in the first phase, you will have research seminars. These are 4 week-long seminars. They're in person. Each time it takes a whole week. You'll be immersed in the intellectual exchanges with your professors, with the peers. And the first seminar will be in Grenoble around November, beginning of November. If you start this year, it will be 2026, November 2026 in Grenoble. And the second seminar usually happens at an international hub. And this year, it will most likely be in Warsaw. And the third seminar, the October of next year, will be in Paris. And then the last seminar week will be in Grenoble, where you will celebrate the achievement of passing your dissertation proposal and finally reunite with all the classmates before you go on to your individual journey to do your dissertation. And throughout the 3 years, you will have 8 online applied workshops. These workshops will prepare you for different milestones, different deliverables. They're more hands-on, and you'll have opportunities to communicate your challenges and your questions with the academic directors and with different professors. And we're also offering optional research master classes. These are research talks that we host at GEM or different global hubs or online that are open to our DBA students and candidates to enrich your overall knowledge in different areas of your interest and to see how research is done in different disciplines. And finally, and actually the most important part of this journey is that you will have one-on-one supervision and support by an expert academic professor from day one. And you will bring in the part that's the experience of your work and industry background, and your academic supervisor will bring in the mastery of research methods and research philosophy and theories so that you can collaborate in producing original knowledge that's serving the field of your interest. And that actually brings me to the next topic. Yes, that is how your industry experience and the DBA research can reinforce each other. Yeah, so to understand what is a DBA research, I want to emphasize that this experience is totally different from the MBA that many of you might have already got, and from a PhD that you might think about when you imagine the life of a doctorate. So the MBA is that you go as a group into a classroom and listen to professors teaching about different management theories, and then you go and use these theories in your practice. And to do a PhD, you will most likely do it full time without any external jobs, and you read and you come up with original research questions, most likely from theory. So you come from theory and you develop something that's mostly theoretical focused. But the DBA is different. It is a practical doctorate, where the research ideas are inspired by your real challenges in the field. And then you aim to create practical impact with the research that you do. And that's the practical part of it. But it's also grounded, especially with GEM DBA, it's grounded in rigorous empirical research. So we ask you to have actual empirical data, and whether you do it through a qualitative method or a quantitative method, and you extract new knowledge, new insights from the data that's in the field. So your industrial experience provide the context of the research and the data for your doctorate research, and the training of the empirical method will then help give you the answers that you're looking for your everyday challenges. So I want to introduce this concept of how to balance the academic side and the practical side with the example, actually, of our star alumni, Anita.
Anita, welcome. I guess first, what maybe you could, introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us about your thesis, where you're from, and we'll start from there.
So absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm not sure whether you should use the word star, but thank you. So, excuse me, frog in my throat. All right. So I'm Anita Mukherjee. I'm serving as principal director for a consulting firm in Toronto. I'm Canada-based, and I'm responsible for data analytics and AI. I have been in the financial services space for 25 years before this role. And my DBA research, I'll get right to that actually. My DBA research is titled Fragmented Signaling in ESG Ratings. And it focuses on the Toronto Stock Exchange, which is Canada's largest stock exchange. What it does is it examines whether ESG ratings serve as reliable sustainability signals, or whether inconsistencies in how they're constructed shape how risk, returns, and accountability are priced in the markets. Now, that question came obviously directly from an interest in the topic that amplified over the course of my career. And across the financial services space, I've seen ESG, which stands for environmental, social, and governance, move from a peripheral issue to a core driver of strategy and decision making. At RBC, for example, which is one of Canada's largest financial institutions, I led the development of electronic statements across banking and wealth management. It was an initiative that certainly delivered significant cost savings for the organization, but most importantly, it had a measurable environmental impact, something I've always been very committed to. Now, fast forward, in my last role at RBC, I was director of strategy and head of ESG, and I was responsible for establishing the ESG function at its insurance business. And there I saw firsthand the limitations and real consequences of the divergence of ratings across different rating providers on corporate and market decisions. All that said, and to what Charisse was talking about earlier, the DBA gave me the opportunity to examine those challenges in a very systematic fashion. And the process fundamentally changed how I think and work. I know it sounds a little cliched, but it's true. It gave me the conceptual discipline to really question problems with a methodological rigor that often, especially in the corporate world, we just do not do that. It also certainly sharpened my ability to step back from operational urgency and think systematically about things like markets, incentives, and unintended consequences. So today, as I said, I'm serving as principal director of advisory at Infotech Research Group, a research and consulting firm. And my team there provides research-based guidance to organizations worldwide on strategy and operating model transformation. And I truly believe that the doctoral work has strengthened my ability to translate complex data, uncertain signals, emerging risks into clear evidence-based insights that certainly allows my team to put their best foot forward. All in all, I'll stop here by saying that it was my industry work that inspired my research. The research defined my perspective, and together they continue to reinforce and advance my work today. What I'm also going to add is, how Therese was talking about the difference in the DBA program and the PhD. Thankfully, not only from a practitioner and managerial perspective, I've seen a massive impact of my research, but what I'm also seeing is it has actually made 4 significant theoretical contributions. And in fact, at my defense, the examiners and the reviewers basically said, Anita, that's equivalent to a PhD, so maybe you should consider doing it as well. So I'll conclude here by saying, yeah, this has been a phenomenal program. The folks here that you see, they plus your advisor, every professor that you work with do a tremendous job making sure you have the support that you need from day one. So I'm very grateful, and I cannot believe I've done this in 3 years. So I'll stop here.
That was very inspiring, Anita. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it's been such a privilege to watch you along the way and watch everything you've accomplished. It's really great.
And Jeannie,
so I
it was
think
your fault.
it was. I just yes. Glad. I'm glad. So I think we're going to have a lot more questions for you. I think in just a moment we get to the Q&A. I think our guests online will have questions, and I have some questions too about your DBA experience. But for a moment, let's just discuss what the next steps are if you'd like to apply. I'm just going to give you a quick overview, mostly of what our research topic and proposal, research topic proposal motivation statements, because this is sort of the key to our DBA application. The rest you can find on the website. It's but what we require is about a 2,000 word paper. So it'll include your research topic title. Again, please don't worry, this will change once you start. It's just to get to know what your topic is and to get to know you. We're not holding you to this exact title. And then we want to know what managerial or business issue you want to investigate and why. So start with, a research question. Think about how, what we want to know, what your story is. So what is the real business problem that you're passionate about solving? Why does it matter now? How does your experience make you uniquely qualified? Where does this connect your professional expertise to your academic research? What are your long-term goals? This is for us to, again, to get to know you a bit more, what your goals are, and in the end, to assign the best possible supervisor for you. We would like you to take a little stab at research. So start to look at the current state of knowledge on the topic you're interested in. Look for at least 5 academic references, look for newer articles. This is a really good practice. Even if you're unsure if you want to do a DBA, maybe take a stab at our application anyway and start to get those thoughts on paper. What do we already know about this problem? What is it that you've been thinking about? And start to write, 500 words on this. What is it? And then you could start to think, how can I help? What can I contribute to this? What access to data do I have? As Cheras was saying, we each have our own unique expertise and experience that we can also add to this research. And a reflection on your methods and data collection. So how would you go about this? Again, you probably don't know at this stage, and that's okay. Your supervisor will help advise you and through the coursework, but it's more to start to imagine. So you can start to imagine how this is going to look for you over the next 3 years. Again, quantitative or qualitative? What access to data do you have? What does this look like for you? So it's a good little mental exercise. And then your motivations to do this DBA. So again, why? Why do you want to do it? So, maybe you want to go into consulting. Maybe it's just a curiosity you've had for a very long time. Maybe you want to think about teaching part-time. Maybe it's, yes, again, like Anita said, to take another look at how you approach your work. So, yes, maybe start to think about why you'd want to do a DBA, and then we can help guide you to see if this is for you. And then I will let Marie-Pierre, our wonderful head of recruitment and admissions, introduce herself and tell you about some of the paperwork you might need to get through this next step.
Yes, thank you, Jenny. So I'm Marie-Pierre, I'm the head of recruitment. So let's go rapidly through all the processes. So to start with, what are the criteria for admission? So you need to have an MBA or master's degree or similar degree. You need to have at least 5 years of managerial experience or 5 years of professional experience at an executive level. You may be an entrepreneur or consultant or professor, an experienced practitioner or senior executive. And finally, you need to be fluent in English in order to apply. Then you have to apply online. We have an application platform that you can find on the website. So you need to upload all your documents on the website. We need a CV, diplomas, bachelor and master's degree, transcripts, 2 reference letters according to a template that you will find on the website, on the platform. And as Ginny said, you need to upload this research topic proposal and your motivation. That's it for the application. And then you will have an interview with one of our academic director to evaluate your application. And then you will have the result of your application soon after that. We offer a modest scholarship of 6,000 euros for early applicants. So you have to write an essay, a motivational essay, to ask for this scholarship. And you can do so until June the 23rd. After that, that won't be possible anymore. And we have a limited number of scholarship, very limited number, but you are invited to send your motivational essay to ask for the scholarship. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Marie-Pierre. And if anyone has any questions or issues logging onto our platform at all, Marie-Pierre is there to help you.
Yes,
so
please.
You'll see how friendly our staff is. All right, so with that, we will get into the Q&A, and there at dba@grenoble-em.com, you can contact Marie-Pierre and the rest of the team. So I will stop sharing my slides here so we can have a chat. All right, thank you. I'm going to start directing some of these questions in the chat to the panel here. I also have a few questions set aside too. But again, just a reminder to everyone out there, please feel free to enter your questions and we'll do our best to answer you. So we're going to start with a really good one. It is, this person's noticed a few changes compared to last year's DBA program, such as the number of sessions, as well as adjustments to specific tracks. Can you please elaborate on these changes? So Charis, do you want to take this?
Yeah, of course. So this year we did have a revamp of the whole program, really making it global. Before we had 2 parallel programs called DBA USA and DBA France, and now with more and more global candidates, we actually want everyone to have a more globalized experience by combining all the candidates at the same time. So that changed also our number of in-person sessions. So over the years, we have noticed that during the online week-long sessions, it's very challenging for everyone to really focus themselves on the content and immerse themselves in the group setting. So to benefit everyone in this collaborative spirit, we now made all 4 seminars in person instead of 3 in the past. Yeah, so that's the number of week-long seminars. Now they're all in person. And the final change is on the specific tracks. So sustainability, technology, and people. So those were our previous proposal. And then we realized our topics are actually more than this, and many of our current students ask if they can take more than one specializations. So we said, okay, then we'll open every topic to everyone, and you can participate in as many research talks as you wish across different topics, and then we will give you a research masterclass certificate instead of a specialization certificate. And that's the changes or the thoughts behind this changes.
Yeah, exactly. We still do
yeah.
offer all of those, and those are still some
Yeah.
of GEM's core research. Is like Chara said, we're just sort of making it a little bit larger in the topics depending on yeah, the interests of the students and the availability, I think.
Yeah.
So another question is, how flexible is the program in allowing candidates to develop research topics closely aligned with their current company and industry?
Yeah, I
Very
guess
good
this
one.
is a good question for Anita. How flexible did you feel?
Oh, you're on mute, sorry.
Yeah. Flexibility. Now that's a loaded question with full transparency and honesty, but no, this is a very flexible program. Of course, you have to commit to the workshops and so on, which are obviously prescriptive in terms of year one and what to expect. But in terms of how I worked, what time I put in, when I met with my supervisor and so on, that was totally up to me. I dictated it. I worked out with my supervisor in terms of how that's going to look like, in what time frame would I reach out to him for my questions, any updates and so on. So it's a really flexible program, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's time that you manage. And at this level, I think we all need to do that. But it's time that I would set aside on a weekend or every evening after work and so on. But it is a very flexible program in terms of how you do things, but again, within the timelines that you are given to work with.
Yeah, and in terms of research, yeah. And in terms of research topics, what I want to emphasize is that, yeah, different from a PhD. So usually for a PhD, you work on the topics of your supervisor, but for a DBA, you work on the topic that you care about. Is that right, Anita?
Yep, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And I would say that, of course, there was a lot of influence of my supervisor as well, but those were some of the best practices that actually helped beef up and strengthen my research. And so it was really a two-way dialogue, two-way relationship. But to your point, Therese, absolutely, it is my research. It was all about what I wanted to achieve from this program.
Yeah, great.
All right, next question is, we mentioned a hub in Dubai. Do you have a physical location, and what exactly would that hub provide? So we do have a physical location there. It's a new partnership. At the moment, what we really do have is a large network of alumni, a very close alumni coming out of the Middle East. The goal of our hubs is to not just provide courses, but also provide a network. And so we're to provide a large variety of activities at each one of these hubs. So maybe Charis, would you like to discuss this a little bit?
Yeah. So we're still developing the different hubs. And for example, in Los Angeles, we have a large number of alumni. And every year when we organize workshops there, we also organize alumni to gather. And yeah, and then through the physical gathering, they get to know more about each other. They help each other out in different line of work. And we're trying to replicate this in different locations. And we know in the Middle East, we have a large group of alumni as well. And as we open up a physical location in Dubai, we're going to use that as the place where they can gather annually or in whichever frequency they would like to. And also bring their knowledge back to the students that we're going to cultivate in the location. So yeah, so that's about our hub.
All right, next question is, so for someone looking to move into teaching or consulting, which path is stronger next step, a DBA or a PhD?
Yeah, I guess I can answer this question. We actually have a lot of current DBA students and alumni teaching in business schools all over the world. Many of them in the US, some of them in Europe, well, actually, many of them in Switzerland, and also in the Middle East. So yeah, these are places where we can find a lot of our alumni in business schools staff. I would say it depends on the condition and the school's reputation. Whether it's a PhD or a DBA, you will, if you put your mind to it, you will find opportunities to teach, or actually full-time employment. But I personally think a PhD is more dependent on who your supervisor is and the reputation of your school rather than your own abilities and your own research. Whereas the DBA, you are the person and you are the brand, and DBA is making you an academic. And yeah, so I think it really depends on your personal approach and how how you want to and how you want to spend the next 3 to 5 years to gain this degree, whether you want to do it full-time, working as a PhD student for a professor for a lab, or you want to still maintain your job and do a research based on the industrial or practical experience that you have, and earn this degree, this DBA degree for yourself. So yeah,
It's good.
that
sums it up pretty well. So another question is whether the DBA is regarded a degree at a doctoral level. We get this question quite a bit, and I think this comes from states' recognitions of degree programs in general. So I'll answer that this is, GEM is recognized as a triple accredited business school. So it means all of our programs pass rigorous accreditation standards. We're highly research ranked, which makes our DBA very well known, as well as, our 800 plus alumni, in which we are able to stand on this. If in some circumstances you were to, if you were to go into research or teaching, at a public university full-time, they may require a PhD from a nationally recognized PhD program. So if that is what your career path is, you will need to find that out from your country's requirements. For most of our DBA students, that's not a problem. But once in a while, the differences between a DBA and a PhD might be an issue for you. So if you're wondering, please book a call with us, and we can try to help you work through this if you'd like. But again, it's more about your career path what you would like to do with it. If you want to take off work or if you want to keep your career and learn research, then a DBA is for you. If you really just want to get into academia, full-time research, then, and maybe you're a bit younger and you can take that sort of career leap, then maybe a PhD is for you. But we're happy to try to meet with you and talk about that if you'd like. So the face-to-face sessions taking place in the various hubs we mentioned, there'll be this year anyway, but this could change in future years. So Grenoble, then Warsaw, Grenoble, Warsaw, Paris, Grenoble for the 4 in-person sessions. Actually, Marie-Pierre, is a question about the criteria for the scholarships. Would you like to say what they would need to do to apply for a scholarship?
Yes. Well, we offer scholarships to early applicants. So if you would like to ask for a scholarship, you need to apply in the following weeks, because we have a very limited number of scholarships, and we evaluate each application and each request for scholarship according to the file, according to your situation. So, and this is a collegial decision that we take during an admission board. So to resume, early applicants and evaluation of the whole file.
Yes, they'll likely look at your merit and your need probably for a scholarship.
Yeah.
To give you a grade.
It's a combination of merits and need.
Yes.
Your first DBA grade. So does the 2,000-word essay cover both the research topic and motivation statement? Yes. So we'll just break it down into just easy paragraphs with the word count. Actually, while we're talking, brings up another question maybe, since is using AI on your research, on your essay. Cheris, maybe you would like to explain.
Yeah. Can you use AI? Yes, you can, but we advise that you use it cautiously and really check the work and prevent sounding too mechanical, and also prevent any AI-based hallucination. Just as you use AI for work, you are still the author and the person responsible for the work being produced. Therefore, so the answer is you can use AI to direct you to the places where you find the reading, the research reading, and you can also use AI to help you read some of the research that you want to cite. However, you need to be really cautious with who you cite. These citations must be real and relevant, and that you can actually defend or explain what's written on the paper.
It's good.
Yeah.
Part of what you'll learn in the coursework as well, I believe.
Yeah. So we actually we know you're all busy professionals. We actually will teach you how to better use AI for your research.
That's good. So Anita, a question for you is that you compare different DBA programs. So why GEM?
Yeah, I absolutely did compare a lot of programs. A couple of things, well, not a couple of things, a few things. One is I wanted the reputation that would allow me to potentially teach down the road, and I'm actually getting into adjunct positions very soon. A few things that were very important to me. As Jeannie mentioned earlier, it's a triple accredited program. So for example, AACSB, very important in North America. It is also Europe's oldest DBA, if I'm not wrong, and the reputation surpasses every program that I've checked. It's world class, and none of the DBAs offered in North America, and I would say mostly across Europe as well, actually match up in terms of the type of work that has to be done. Many schools focus on, capstone projects and so on, very close to what an MBA looks like. Here, this is really research-based work. That's at least what my research had shown me. The other thing to me that was important was the 3 to 5 year timeline, which seemed really reasonable. Few schools that I was speaking to and I actually got admission into they were stressing on it could take up to 7 to 8 years. Okay, that's a long time in your life. I think those are the real things. It's really the reputation, the brand. If I can use my research to go down the path of consulting and also or teaching, so that was important to me.
Thank you. So I guess next question is, how much workload should we expect in the DBA program? I can start to answer it, and then Cheris can jump in if you'd like. We generally tell people 10 hours a week, but there'll be busier times and less busier times. And it's like how Anita said, it's about managing your time and staying consistent with your time. So it might be, you know, a half an hour every morning before, you know, the kids get up, or a couple hours, you know, a few hours in the weekends or the evenings. So setting aside that time for yourself. Sometimes it's just reading. Sometimes I like to put an article in Notebook LM and listen to it while I'm taking my daughter to school. There's like certain times that you need to keep up with your topics. And then other times you'll have some big milestones that you'll need to hit and be, you know, working over the weekends and working harder. Cheris, maybe you'd like to expand a little bit on this since you work very closely with the students.
Yeah, I guess it really depends on your type of research. Some people will use a qualitative research and they take their data from interviews, so they spend a lot of time collecting that data. And other people use existing data sets that they can already find from publicly available places. So it really depends on the approach. So I think in the beginning, you will probably spend a big chunk of time getting to know the literature, but you can devise different ways of keeping up. Like Jenny said, you can even listen to these research papers. For example, I myself, I do admit I have reading difficulty. So I'm an audio learner, so I change a lot of the PDFs into spoken content, and then I listen all the time in my ears, whatever I do. So that saves you some time and keep you up with the literature, and then finding time to consistently output your thoughts, writing down your literature review and your research results. Those time you will need to find. I guess Anita just came through all the process. You can tell us about how much time you put in each stages?
Yeah, so I would echo what Jenny and you both explained the process looks like. Absolutely. To me, there were days where I was not even touching my research, but there were days when I put everything in. And for me, I cannot do things in pieces. I really need to sit down and tackle things end to end for a certain amount of time. Otherwise, I'll never get through it. And especially mine was a quantitative research. So I was dealing with literally 3 big screens of data in front of me, large panel data. So I had to make sense of things. There had to be something that was cohesive. So yeah, I would put the time in. I have the same difficulty as you, Cherise. I'm not very good at reading, and especially coming from corporate, you know, we skim through stuff. When someone is presenting things to me, it has to be like no more than 5 bullet points. So that was a mental shift that I had to make. So I would say I was spending roughly 3 hours on an evening as time became available. And I think there was one comment here in terms of busy travel schedule. My role definitely involves a lot of travel, so that sometimes is not easy. I always had this great idea of, oh, I'm going to sit on the plane and, you know, go through my stuff. That's not going to happen. At least that's not worked out for me. But then on weekends, like I would set aside a Sunday, start like 6 in the morning, and I would go till, I don't know, 12, 1 o'clock, getting stuff done.
Yeah.
Good. All right, a question about faculty. So professors, backgrounds, their area of expertise. So I'll just quickly say on our website, if you go to the faculty page, You can see a directory, and so you can take a look, dig through some of their most recent publications should be on there. Also, under the research page of our website, you'll see that we're broken down into 9 teams, eight research teams. You do not necessarily have to fall under this team. As Chara said, your DBA is specific to you. But this will give you an idea of some of GEM's expertise, and where our research sort of lies, to familiarize yourself with GEM's research. We have quite a few research active faculty. So if we think that there's a topic that we won't be able to help you with, which would be quite rare, but we would work with you and let you know of this. So maybe, Charis, you'd like to share a little bit some of the experts that teach on our DBA.
Yeah, so our teaching of the DBA is mostly focused on research methods. And these are the toolkits that you need for doing the research, whereas the topics are entirely yours. And therefore, you don't need to find a professor whose topics are exactly like yours. But as long as they have the research, the methodological expertise, they will be able to supervise you. Yeah, and usually what I do as an academic director is matching students to the supervisors based on first methods and second personality, and third, of course, the topical interest. Our faculty have a really broad interest, even if they don't do a lot of research in your field, they can be interested and still updated in the news or the industry frontiers in your field, and you can still develop your own research with their help together. So yeah, so you can definitely read up on their expertise, but again, it's the methodological expertise that matters here.
Exactly. Here's a question for you again, which is Anita, is what part of the learning journey do students struggle with the most, and how do you address it?
Was that for me?
Yeah, sure. Both of you can be good.
I don't know whether at this stage of, when you're doing a doctoral program, whether it's a PhD or DBA, there's something that you would struggle with from a learning perspective. It's really about doing research, making sense of it, contributing, to your points from our DBA managerially and also theoretically. And it really starts with what Charisse was talking about, understanding the literature, the full thorough literature review that we spend a lot of time in this program, and going from there. So again, I hesitate by saying that there were any difficulties across my cohort. I've not seen firsthand any such thing. It was really how much commitment we put in to getting things done and on time when there were prescriptive timelines to follow. And then really the one thing I personally I'm not sure struggle is the right word, but I really focused on is how disciplined I was in using my time, because especially after the first defense, you're pretty much on your own and you guide your own timelines. So how you keep yourself disciplined, that was a commitment in itself.
Yeah, I can actually take a different perspective. If you were to do a PhD, so I supervise both PhD and DBA, and I did a PhD myself. Now, if you were to do a PhD and do a research out of theory, I would say the biggest struggle would be to find or define the contribution of your research, because it's very hard to find a worthwhile research topic out of theory and then to make big enough contribution in that sense. But doing a DBA and taking a real world problem that has not been solved in your field and then doing a research and trying to solve that that by itself already solved the biggest challenge of most researchers in business. And so you don't have to worry about your work not having enough contribution or originality in that sense. And therefore, like Anita said, the biggest challenge would be whether you are able to fulfill all the goals that you set out for yourself.
That's good. Somebody's asking about research or publishing opportunities. I think.
Yeah, of course. If your research has original contribution, meaning that you have interesting data and you found interesting results and that your method is rigorous, you will have publication opportunities. I think Anita recently published something, right?
I did. I have one article that's been published, or paper. I've got one more that's been submitted and it's in the review process, and 3 more that'll be submitted hopefully over the next 2 weeks.
Oh,
Congrats.
wow. Oh, wow.
Exciting.
That's very impressive. That's very impressive.
So as you
Yeah,
can see,
and
the
I-
DBA is just the beginning, isn't it?
yeah,
Right.
Sure
Doing
is.
Yeah.
great.
yeah.
All right, there's a question if the executive PhD might be different. I
Yeah.
think you'd have to look individually into program by program. Sometimes they're very similar. Sometimes they, I mean, for example, GEM is a very research-based DBA. Maybe in other, terms, it might be comparable to an executive PhD because we're very research focused. I think you need to really look into each school's. Unless, Charis, you have a different point of view on this, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. Different schools can call the program differently. The core is what exactly they're providing. Yeah, and what exactly you are looking for.
Yes, exactly. It's both. Yeah.
Yeah.
So an age limit to apply for our DBA? No, but we do require at least 5 years of work experience. We do find that the average age is like 42 or something like that. So that means across the board, really. But it does take a level of experience to really kind of want to be at the phase in your life where you want to do a DBA. It's not that young people really can't. They might be have it fresher in their mind, to do research in school. But I think the DBA itself really lends to experience. So
Yeah.
no age limit per se, but I think maybe our youngest is maybe 30 or something, but anyway, so yeah. Yes, there's one intake per year. So again, we starts in November. If you're unable to attend a seminar, I think the answer would be, yeah, we really need to attend all of the seminars. It's really important to get those classes and to be present and to keep up, because it is a rigorous program, and you really can't miss any of the seminars. In some exceptional cases, we've been able to try to accommodate people when we can, but if you know in advance, then maybe yeah, we'd have to see, but it probably, yeah, we need to be there for the opening seminar.
Yeah, and also I saw some question about the scheduling. Yes, the scheduling are communicated beforehand, especially the in-person seminars. Whatever we announced right now is your schedule, and the online webinars might have small changes, but they are mostly, we mostly stick to the announced schedule. So you can plan beforehand.
So there's a question about maybe a little bit more details of the coursework, supervision, networking. This person's asking if the research is focused on government or public sector projects, does the school facilitate connections with institutions? I think there's a couple of different topics there, but I think wondering about data collection again, maybe let's start with that, Charis. Do you think about?
Yeah, Yeah, so in general, we do not facilitate connection with institutions. It's the student's role to find data sources. If you want to study public sector projects or governments, then we recommend that you either already are part of it and you can get access to the data through internal channels, or you, for example, you use some publicly available data in that sense. Yeah, this is not because we are not supportive. This is because we want your research to be really addressing the problem you're facing, and therefore you have the feasibility to conduct the research, and you also have the motivation to finish the research. Yeah, about how long is each seminar? So each seminar is about 18 hours to 24 hours. So we schedule that between 4 days to 5 days. So each seminar is week long. You'll stay here for a whole week. And what is covered during each seminar? So the first seminar week will focus on just introduction of everything, what a DBA research is, what is a literature review, what is research design, what kind of research design there are, how to do basic literature review with the help of AI. And what what the research roadmap looks like. So that's the first seminar week. The second seminar week will focus on research design alone. Oh, sorry, literature review and research design. So you will systematically learn how to do literature review, and you'll be exposed to both the qualitative and quantitative research designs. And you'll then leave the seminar with an outline of your literature review and with a proposed design that you will work on to collect data and analyze data. And then the third seminar is focused on data collection. So for the qualitative, so by then you will have already chosen whether you will do qualitative research or quantitative research. So then you will go to your chosen track to either learn how to conduct interviews, how to collect other type of qualitative data, or you will go towards quantitative to see how to find archival data sources, how to conduct experimentation, how to conduct surveys, how to transform different kinds of data into quantifiable data sets. And so that's the third seminar. And then the final seminar week is on data analysis. So once you have already collected some data, you will then come to the classroom, and then in the qualitative track, you will learn how to code your qualitative words into, or sometimes even pictures, into codes, and how to extract meaning out of the codes. And in the quantitative track, you will learn how to analyze quantitative data using different statistical tools. So those are the 4 seminar weeks. Yeah, the rest of the details you can get to know more if you schedule a call with us.
Yeah, and you can find info on the website and the brochure, and yeah, I'm happy to answer your questions.
Yeah.
There's a couple of people asking about, yes, if there was, if you can attend to a seminar because of visa problems or attending virtually. We encourage applying early so that we can issue you a letter, so you have plenty of time to apply for your travel visa. So if you think it's going to be a problem, don't delay in applying. If you've tried everything you can, and you've really tried to come, and you're a strong student, we have made some sort of virtual exceptions for some people, but it's not going to be the best of experiences. It's really important to be here in person.
Yeah,
but we have worked
the
with people in
experience,
those cases.
yeah,
But
the experience is very different.
So it's not impossible, but we really are going to just try to push you to be here because you won't regret it. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Let's see where we are with the questions. So we're coming up on the hour. So I hope. Here's a question: does the initial research should be adjusted or changed by the supervisor? I think this maybe is about how your topic evolves as you progress. Maybe Charis, if you can touch on that one briefly.
Yeah, it will evolve as you progress. It's not adjusted by your supervisor. They don't dictate your research. You are the driver of your research. They only facilitate and advise. So as you yourself as a researcher grow, you will see, oh, some of the elements that you previously think is a valuable research has already been studied by someone, explained by someone, and now you can pivot to something else depending on your access to data. So yeah, it's an evolving process, but your supervisor definitely does not dictate it.
So there's also a question about, so we talked about quantitative and qualitative, and somebody's asking about mixed methods. It's great.
Yeah,
They're getting ready to pick their.
Yeah, very, very specific. Yeah, of course you can do mixed methods. And if for example, the original supervisor does not know the other part of the research method, we'll find someone else to co-supervise. And someone also asked if the supervisor will help to vet your research topic. Yes, they will to some extent based on their frame of knowledge. But again, you are responsible and you need to justify whether your research is worthwhile through doing literature review. And your supervisor is there to verify the work that you do, but eventually you will go through internal and external reviews, and during those reviews some of the problems will show up, and then you'll need to adjust accordingly.
Thank you. We have a few questions about payment plans and the tuition fee. So it's 60,000 euros. If you send an email to dba@grenoble-em.com, Marie-Pierre will send you the payment schedule and can help break that down for you, which would probably be easier than saying it on a webinar. She can send you the exact schedule, which might be more helpful. So feel free to just send her a message and she'll be happy to send you the information. All right, so we'll close because I don't want to keep Anita's time. I'm so grateful for you sharing your experience. I guess one last word of advice that you might have for everybody listening today. Anita, what would you say?
Just go for it. If you're here, you already know you want to do this. So I would say go for it. It's worth the time and all the energy you're going to put in.
Excellent. All right. How about you, Marie-Pierre? Do you have any advice to give people thinking about it today?
Yes. My advice would be to apply as soon as possible if you are ready to go through this journey, because so that you can organize for your visa and your travel, and we will be happy to welcome you on November the 2nd for the first seminar.
Thank you. And Charis?
Yeah, start reading and be hungry.
Excellent. And I will say, have fun. Enjoy this project that's all your own, that belongs only to you, and the space that's yours, and enjoy the intellectual space that you're creating for yourself. So, and with that, thank you so much for joining us all. And yes, feel free to send us a message if you have any questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.